Hi, I'm Jason Charles Miller. If you're not in the now, you're in the nothing.
So Jason, how's it going, man? Last time we were here in Wichita about 6 years ago, and you were with your band Godhead.
Yeah.
And what have you been up to in the past 6 years? Nothing. Nothing at all. Not keeping busy.
No, just, sitting around. Beach. No, I hate the beach. Yeah, I've been up to a lot. When, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started to put out some solo material. And then that kind of started to get bigger and bigger, and then I've been touring on that, and I've had I've had 2 songs released to country radio format, and the second one went to #1 on the indie charts. So yeah, I'm pretty happy just trucking along on my solo adventure.
Cool. And you just recently, in 2012, released an album called Natural Born Killer. How's that been received so far? This is your 3rd full-length record, right?
Actually, second one, I had an EP.
Okay.
And then On Country was my first full-length. This is the second. It's been going. It's been very well received. Critically acclaimed, etc. But getting it out there and playing the songs for the people is really what makes it. It's the salt, it's the salt and the vinegar, or whatever, as they say. I don't know who says that, but somebody says it.
Someone profound says it.
But just getting out and playing it for everybody is really what it's all about.
So, can you talk a little bit about some of the singles that you have released on it so people can check them out?
Yeah, well, I put out a single a couple years ago called "You Get What You Pay For," and there's been a couple of different versions of that out. It made it onto True Blood soundtrack, actually an episode of True Blood.
Yeah.
And that's actually going to be they're putting it out to country radio next. But then my first 2 country singles were "Up to Me" and then "The Way You Still Want Me."
So, and is that the one with all the blondes in it?
Yeah.
I love that video. I
Yeah.
just got a chance to watch it today.
Cool. Yeah, you got to check it out. Sure.
So the True Blood thing. Now, did you get a ton of traffic going to your videos after you had that song on True Blood?
I did. Yeah, I definitely. You could see the difference.
So it was well received. How did they approach you about that?
Well, I wrote this song with 2 friends of mine in Nashville, and I sent it to my publisher and said, "Hey, this sounds like maybe it would fit in with True Blood." After we got done with it, what do you think? He's like, "Well, I'll send it over to them and find out." And then a couple days later, it's like, they want to use it in the show.
Wow.
Awesome, because that never happens.
So I take it you're a big fan of the show then, right?
Well, I am now.
Yeah?
I actually had never watched the show until I got the song in the show.
So
It kind of inspired me to.
what made you decide to think that it might be a good fit for the show?
I knew the theme song, and I had heard of some of the acts some of the music that was put on the show, and the other guy I wrote it with said it sounded like it would fit in, so I went for it.
Cool, man. So on the subject of the song "On Country," the theme of the song is kind of like a screw you to the guys that didn't think that you could do country from the rock background, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what the theme of the song is.
To a certain extent, just kind of like a theme song to show, to talk a little bit about me and my history, whether you may or may not know of me. Country represents, working hard and like putting your all into something, and a lot of physical sweat and activity.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to convey all that in the song. And I was writing it with my friend Randall Clay, and I said, I kind of want to write. Hey, I'm getting bit by a mosquito as we talk. That's great. I said to my friend Randall, I said, I want to write something that sort of represents me. Kind of could be my theme song, but I don't want it to sound cheesy, because there's so many country this and country that, and I'm a little more country than that. And I'm like, that's the last thing I want to do. And then he was like, "You mean like there ain't nothing on country about me?" And I was like, "That's it."
That's the song.
And then we wrote it.
And it has a lot of rock influence, and you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. It has a ton of rock influence, and especially how we produced it too.
So that brings me to my next question. So what were some of the hurdles and benefits of having the rock background and then getting into the country industry?
I mean, there's been some backlash, when we were out promoting the latest single, there was a big radio station in the South that was going to have me on as a guest, and then they canceled at the last minute when they heard that I had worked with Marilyn Manson.
Wow.
So there's been that negative, but I think it's less, the rock background is less of a hindrance than I think just how tough the music business is in general these days, in any genre. Because a lot of ways I'm relaunching myself as a new artist, and so there's a lot of struggles and hurdles with that.
Right.
And I'm a solo artist in a new genre, so a lot of things that I could have fallen back on in the rock world, I can't fall back on in the country world. And so it's like starting over from square one.
Really?
With some people.
So
yeah.
it's almost more of a hurdle having the rock background in some ways, because like you said, the Marilyn Manson thing, when you worked with him.
Yeah, but I feel like you can't run from your past or deny your past. Just be yourself and be true to what you want to do, and I think it will shine through.
I guess myself and a lot of other people probably assume that having a rock background, it would be somewhat beneficial because you'd be used to touring and like used to the industry and stuff like that.
Part,
so,
sure.
So
yeah.
Back on the subject of touring, you've gotten to tour with some pretty big country stars. You've done Toby Keith and Alan Jackson and Jared Neiman.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? Like, how did you get approached for that, and what was it like?
Those shows I got added to by the promoter that knew what I was doing and believed in what I was doing, so we want to put you on the show. And from the affirmation to me is from note one, the fans that were there to see those huge artists, they were into our music from note one. And to me that's a huge affirmation that I'm making music that's accessible to rock fans and to country fans, and they didn't.
Country's very rock and roll now anyway.
It is.
It's really shifted.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
So is there any chance that you might be getting the chance, or you might have already done this, play the Grand Ole Opry, which is kind of like the really big acceptance into what I believe like into the country industry?
Yeah, no, I would love to. I have not had that opportunity yet.
Yeah.
But, it's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah. Speaking of bucket list, actually, this is a question I was going to ask a little later on, but what's something that you'd like to do or accomplish, like a career milestone before you die?
I think most professional musicians, professional songwriters would like to get some sort of like nomination, be it a Grammy nomination or Country Music Award nomination or anything like that. That would be a huge milestone.
Playing the Grand Ole Opry, for instance.
Yeah. Well, that you already mentioned that. So.
What would you? What about like personally? Like, is there any kind of like something on your bucket list that you'd like to do aside from music?
Most bucket list items for me all tie in with music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe acting or something like that. Which
I've had a really blessed sort of second career as an actor, mainly voice acting, cartoons, and video games. I guess it would be fun. All those things are things that would be fun, you know what I mean? But are they necessarily on my bucket list? Not really, because I've been performing in front of audiences since I was 5 years old.
Right.
And so that, for me, that the music side of it has always been kind of the number one thing.
So your voice acting, going up on that in your acting career, that's something. Is it something that your music's the most important thing to you, and that's like kind of like your second side career or something like that?
Yeah. I certainly, when I put my mind to something, I certainly pursue it wholeheartedly. And the way I sort of fell into voice acting was I was writing some music for commercials, and then I sang on a commercial, and it was a national commercial, so I had to be in the Screen Actors Guild to sing on it.
No kidding.
So I was like, well, I'm in the Screen Actors Guild now, maybe I should look this up, because I acted a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
So I took some classes, and one of the first voice acting jobs I had was from a guy that knew who Godhead was and kind of gave me this job doing Walla. What Walla is a term for kind of all the background noises that you hear, like when you see a character walk into a crowded room, you hear people talking, but you don't really know what they
Right.
say, or you just hear a line or two.
Yeah.
That's Walla.
Huh.
And then, but the job that I got was in a vampire cartoon. So not only was I that kind of Walla, I was also zombies and vampires and monsters, just a bunch of
So you make the background noises
yeah,
when
you know, stuff like that. All right, you're a zombie that's just been brought back to life and then immediately killed. You know, that kind of stuff.
So what are some of the acting roles you've done? I mean, you listed a couple, but what are some of the other like video games and animes you've done?
Well, people, I get when I go to anime conventions and stuff like that. One of my popular characters is Guy from Super Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
He's also in Street Fighter versus Tekken.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea that was you. I played that before many times.
Cool, yeah. The ninja in the orange ninja suit.
Some of these people are
Don't know
gonna
why it's orange.
Some of these people are gonna watch the interview and be like, "I've heard his voice in these games. I didn't even know that." And you were telling me before that you had some upcoming roles. What were some of those?
Well, a lot of the upcoming roles I'm not allowed to talk about.
Okay.
I worked on Guild Wars 2 for 2 years as 4 major characters, and for the first year and a half, I wasn't allowed to even say I was working on the game. About 6 months before the game came out, I was allowed to say I was working on the game, but I wasn't allowed to say who my characters were. And
so it could spoil the
they
story.
even changed things up on me. I thought my name was Donovan. My name wasn't even Donovan. So, I mean, video games now make more money than Hollywood blockbusters.
Really?
So they're so
Yeah.
protective
It's a $1 billion
of
industry
their
now.
roles, and they're so protective of everything. They don't want the secrets getting out.
Like gaming got huge, so and you've been a part of it for quite a while now, so you've kind of gotten to see it grow. What's been your favorite role so far that you've done out of your voice acting career?
Well, probably Prince Valinor from World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Especially since at the time, I was like a huge World of Warcraft player.
Yeah.
Fan, so it was fun to work on this, and then it's in the game.
That's so cool,
I get
man.
to go kill myself.
I remember that character. That it's an NPC, right? Obviously. Yeah, I remember like hearing it when I played World of Warcraft, and I didn't even know it was you. So I think what everybody really wants to know, another thing that everybody really wants to know, that's interested in your rock background, is there any chance of a reunion with your old band, Pink Panther?
No chance. Although I do talk to those guys sometimes.
What about Godhead?
There's a better chance of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually have September 27th. We have a remix album coming.
Really?
I got the rights back to the Shadow line, and so it's called the Shadow Realigned. What I did was I had every song remixed by a different producer. So I got like Ben Moody from Evanescence did a remix.
Nice.
The guys from Cyclone 9 did a remix. Joe Bashara, who's a big remixer, but also has composed the music for the movie Insidious. He did a remix. So like a lot of really interesting. Actually, one of the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender is also a musician who goes by the name of Ginormous. His real name is Brian, but he goes by Ginormous. He did a remix. So I have all these different people remixing the whole album, and then there were 3 unreleased tracks that we were working on at the time that I went back in the studio, finished. So there'll be 13 remixes and then 3 new tracks.
So in that, when can we expect that to be released?
September 27th.
September 27th. And my final question for you is, what are some of the things that are going to be coming up with your solo? Do you have any tours you can talk about, or are you starting to write a new record or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm working on a new record. As you're interviewing me, this is week 7 of a 7-week tour, so I have 1 more week left.
Good. Almost back home then.
Yeah. I'm going to do a short run in the fall, like 3 to 4 weeks. And then just working on a new record.
Cool. Sounds great. Well, I think that's about everything, Jason. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.